Introduction to HTML. In this video, we are going to see about Introduction to HTML. HTML is the acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is the basic tool for designing a web page. It is a documentation language to mark the headings, title, table, and forms. HTML is not case-sensitive and can be easily updated after the file is created. To format a simple text file into HTML, the user creates tags that start and finish with angular brackets. To end the formatting or change to another format, type the first angle bracket, a backslash, then repeats the command and close the bracket. HTML history. IBM wanted to set a documentation system in which we can mark the title, headings, paragraphs, and font type selections in the 1980s. They came out with a set of markup system called General Markup Language, that is GML. In 1986, International Standardizing Organization ISO took up this concept and standardized it as Standardized Generalized Markup Language SGML. SGML is one of the early markup language. SGML is a system for organizing and tagging elements of a document. SGML itself does not specify any particular formatting, rather it specifies the rules for tagging elements. These tags can then be interpreted to format elements in different ways. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee and his team in the European Laboratory for Particle Physics CERR designed the present form of the documentation language and called it HTML. World Wide Web. A web page is a document stored in the World Wide Web. Web pages are created using HTML. Each page contains the data to be included in the web page and the HTML tags. The web browser understands these tags and displays the corresponding web page. We browse the World Wide Web using a web browser. All text, graphics, and design elements of a web page are tagged with codes that instruct the web browser how to display the files. You can recognize these files easily because they contain the file extension of HTML or HTM. Just consider the following hierarchy of HTML document. HTML editors. In this video, we are going to see about HTML editors. An HTML editor is a software application for creating web pages. Although the HTML markup of a web page can be written with any text editor, specialized HTML editors can offer convenience and added functionality. For example, many HTML editors work not only with HTML but also with related technologies such as CSS, XML, and JavaScript. In some cases, they also manage communication with remote web servers via FTP and WebDAV. Some commonly used HTML editors are listed here under Adobe Dreamweaver. It is a web development application available for both Mac and Windows operating system. Recent versions have incorporated support for web technologies such as CSS, JavaScript, and various server-side scripting languages and frameworks including ASP.NET, ColdFusion, Java Server Pages JSP, and PHP. Visual Web Developer Express. It is a freeware web development tool that allows developers to evaluate the web development and editing capabilities of the other Visual Studio 2008 editions at no charge. Its main function is to create ASP.NET websites. It has a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get interface, drag and drop user interface designer, enhanced HTML and code editors, a database explorer, support for other web technologies, for example CSS, JavaScript, XML. Microsoft Front Page. It is also known as Microsoft Office Front Page, is a WYSIWYG HTML editor and website administration tool from Microsoft for the Microsoft Windows line of operating system. It was branded as a part of the Microsoft Office suite from 1997 to 2003. Overview of HTML. In this video, we are going to see about the overview of HTML. Hypertext refers to the way in which web pages, that is HTML documents, are linked together. Thus, the link available on a web page is called hypertext. As its name suggests, HTML is a markup language, which means you use HTML to simply mark up a text document with tags that tell a web browser how to structure it to display. Originally, HTML was developed with the intent of defining the structure of documents like headings, paragraphs, lists, and so forth to facilitate the sharing of scientific information between researchers. Now, HTML is being widely used to format web pages with the help of different tags available in HTML language. A markup language such as HTML is simply a collection of code elements, in this case, that are used to indicate the structure and format of a document. The codes have meaning that is interpreted by a formatting program, often a web browser, which renders the document. Elements in HTML consists of alphanumeric tags within the angle brackets. These tags usually come in pairs, but exceptions do exist. Basic HTML document. In its simplest form, following is an example of an HTML document. Saving the file as mypage.html, start your internet browser, select Open or Open Page in the file menu of your browser. A dialog box will appear. Select Browse or choose File and locate the HTML file you just created, mypage.html. Select it and click Open. Now you should see an address in the dialog box, for example, C drive/mydocument/mypage.html. Click OK and the browser will display the page. Basic HTML tags. In this video, we are going to see about basic HTML tags. The document enclosed within the HTML tags is identified as a web page. HTML is almost the first tag in an HTML page, and /HTML tag is the last tag. Everything else in the web page goes between these two tags and is technically part of HTML element. These tags are enclosed within angle braces, tag name. Except few tags, most of the tags have their corresponding closing tags. For example, HTML has its closing tag /HTML and body tag has its closing tag /body tag, etc. Any formatted text document is composed of a set of elements such as paragraphs, headings, and lists. Each element has to be surrounded by control information, which tells the presentation or printing software when to switch on a piece of formatting and when to switch it off. A number of points should be noted about HTML tags. Tags are delimited by angle brackets H1. They are case sensitive, for example, head in uppercase, head in lowercase, and head are not equivalent. Each element is terminated by an end tag. There are a few exceptions to this rule, generally elements which never contain content. Some characters have to be replaced in the text by escape sequences. If angle bracket was not escaped, the software would attempt to process anything that followed it as a part of a tag. White space, tabs, and new lines are ignored by the browser. They can be used to make the HTML source more readable without affecting the way that the page is displayed. Actually, they are not ignored, but multiple white spaces are replaced by a single space, while new lines and tabs are treated as spaces. If a browser does not understand a tag, it will usually ignore it. To learn HTML, you will need to study various tags and understand how they behave while formatting a textual document. Learning HTML is simple, as users have to learn the usage of different tags in order to format the text or images to make a beautiful web page. So here, p/p is an HTML element, h1/h1 is another HTML element. There are some HTML elements which don't need to be closed, such as img/, hr/ and br/elements. These are known as void elements. HTML documents consist of a tree of these elements, and they specify how HTML documents should be built and what kind of content should be placed in what part of an HTML document. Some of the HTML tags are A. Anchor, make hyperlinks. B. Bold the text. Body of HTML document, where to start the document and place the HTML codes. BR, line break, force to change line. Center alignment. EM, emphasis, emphasize the content. Font, change font setup. Form, insert a form inside the web page. H1, heading 1, heading size. Heading of HTML document contains information about the page. HR, horizontal rule, create a horizontal line. HTML, hypertext markup language, begins the HTML document. I, italic the text. IMG, image. Input field, insert a input field. LI, list item, create a listed item in an unordered or ordered list. Menu, insert a menu in a web page. OL, ordered list, number the list. P, paragraph, create a line break and a space between lines. Table, insert a table inside a web page. TD, table data, the cell of a table. TH, table header, the header of a table. Title, document title, the title in the title bar of the browser. TR, table row, the row of a table. U, underline the text. UL, unordered list, bullets the list. Strike the text, for making the text appear stroked out. Subscript, for making the text subscript. SUP, superscript, for making the text superscript. DFN, definition, for displaying text as a definition. CITE, citations, for displaying citations and references. Head tags. In this video, we are going to see about head tags. The head tags are used to store information about the web page, such as the title of the page. Any document starts with a heading. You can use different sizes for your headings. Let us see the example program of head tag. HTML also has 6 levels of headings, which use the elements H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. While displaying any heading, browser adds one line before and one line after that heading. The title tags are used to enter a title for the web page. This tag contains the title of the HTML document, which will appear in the web browser's title bar and is used by search engines to refer to the document. Each head element should include a title element. Paragraph tags. In this video, we are going to see about paragraph tags. The P tag offers a way to structure your text into different paragraphs. Now we can see the example program of paragraph tag. Each paragraph of text should go in between an opening P and a closing /P tag. The output of this program is shown in screen. LineBreak Tags. In this video, we are going to see about LineBreak Tags. Whenever you use the BR element, anything following it starts from the next line. Let us see the example program of LineBreak Tag. This tag is an example of an empty element where you do not need opening and closing tags, as there is nothing to go in between them. The BR tag has a space between the characters BR and the /. Centering content. In this video, we are going to see about centering content. You can use center tag to put any content in the center of the page or any table cell. Now we can see the example program of centering content. The output of this program is shown in screen. Horizontal lines. Horizontal lines are used to visually break up sections of a document. The HR tag creates a line from the current position in the document to the right margin and breaks the line accordingly. Now we can see the example program of horizontal lines. Again, HR/tag is an example of the empty element where you do not need opening and closing tags, as there is nothing to go in between them. The output of this program is shown in screen. If you omit this space, older browsers will have trouble rendering the horizontal line, while if you miss the / character and just use HR, it is not valid in XHTML. Preserver formatting. In this video, we are going to see about preserver formatting. Sometimes you want your text to follow the exact format of how it is written in the HTML document. In those cases, you can use the pre-formatted tag PRE. Let us see the example program of preserver formatting. Any text between the opening PRE tag and the closing /PRE tag will preserve the formatting of the source document. The output of this program is shown in screen. Non-breaking spaces. Suppose you want to use the phrase 12 angry men. Here you would not want a browser to split the 12, angry, and men across two lines. In cases where you do not want the client browser to break text, you should use a non-breaking space entity &NBSP semicolon instead of a normal space. For example, when coding the 12 angry men in a paragraph, you should use something similar to the following code. The output of this program is shown in screen. Nested HTML elements. It is very much allowed to keep one HTML element inside another HTML element. Let us see the example program of preserver formatting. The output of this program is shown in screen. HTML attributes. In this video, we are going to see about HTML attributes. An attribute is used to define the characteristics of an HTML element and is placed inside the element's opening tag. Attributes names and attribute values are case sensitive. However, the World Wide Web Consortium W3C recommends lowercase attributes or attribute values in their HTML4 recommendation. All attributes are made up of two parts. They are name, value. Name attribute. The name is a property you want to set. For example, the paragraph P element in the example carries an attribute whose name is align, in which you can use to indicate the alignment of paragraph on the page. Value attribute. The value is what you want the value of the property to be set and always put within the quotations. The below example shows three possible values of align attribute. There are such as left, right, center. Let us see the example program of align attribute. The output of this program is shown in screen. Core attributes. The four core attributes that can be used on majority of HTML elements, although not all, are ID, title, class, style. The ID attribute of an HTML tag can be used to uniquely identify any element within an HTML page. There are two primary reasons that you might want to use an ID attribute on an element. If an element carries an ID attribute as a unique identifier, it is possible to identify just that element and its content. If you have two elements of the same name within a web page or style sheet, you can use the ID attribute to distinguish between elements that have the same name. Example: the title attribute. The title attribute gives a suggested title for the element. The syntax for the title attribute is similar as explained for ID attribute. The behavior of this attribute will depend upon the element that carries it, although it is often displayed as a tooltip when cursor comes over the element or while the element is loading. The class attribute. The class attribute is used to associate an element with a style sheet and specifies the class of element. You will learn more about the use of the class attribute when you will learn Cascading Style Sheet (CSS). The value of the attribute may also be a space-separated list of class names. Example program. The style attribute. The style attribute allows you to specify Cascading Style Sheet (CSS) rules within the element. Here, you need to understand what are HTML attributes and how they can be used while formatting content. Internationalization attributes. There are 3 internationalization attributes which are available for most, although not all, HTML elements. dir, lang, xml:lang. The dir attribute. The dir attribute allows you to indicate to the browser the direction in which the text should flow. The dir attribute can take one of 2 values, as you can see in the table that follows. When dir attribute is used within the HTML tag, it determines how text will be presented within the entire document. When used within another tag, it controls the text direction for just the content of that tag. The lang attribute. The lang attribute allows you to indicate the main language used in a document, but this attribute was kept in HTML only for backwards compatibility with earlier versions of HTML. This attribute has been replaced by the xml:lang attribute in new XHTML documents. The values of the lang attribute are ISO 639 standard 2-character language codes. Check HTML language codes ISO 639 for a complete list of language codes. The xml:lang attribute. The xml:lang attribute is the XHTML replacement for the lang attribute. The value of the xml:lang attribute should be an ISO 639 country code as mentioned in previous section. Generic attributes. Here is a table of some other attributes that are readily usable with many of the HTML tags. HTML text. In this video, we are going to see about HTML text. The text on HTML page can be altered in a number of ways. The actual font used can be changed to attempt to force the browser to use a specific font, and the look of the text can be changed for emphasis. Web page authors who are worried about issues of usability and who want to create pages which work across different types of device frown upon the elements in this section. It is a really good idea to use styles wherever possible. Bold text. Now we can see the example program of bold text. Anything that appears within B/B element is displayed in bold. The output of this program is shown in screen. Italic text. Let us see the example program of italic text. Anything that appears within I /I element is displayed in italicized. The output of this program is shown in screen. Underlined text. Now we can see the example program of underlined text. Anything that appears within U/U element is displayed with underlined. The output of this program is shown in screen. Strike text. Now we can see the example program of strike text. Anything that appears within strike/strike element is displayed with strike through, which is a thin line through the text. The output of this program is shown in screen. Monospaced font. Let us see the example program of monospaced font. Most of the fonts are known as variable width fonts because different letters are of different widths. For example, the letter M is wider than the letter I. The content of a TT/TT element is written in monospaced font. In a monospaced font, however, each letter has the same width. The output of this program is shown in screen. Superscript text. Now we can see the example program of superscript text. The content of a SUP/SUP element is written in superscript. The font size used is the same size as the characters surrounding it, but is displayed half a character's height above the other characters. The output of this program is shown in screen. Subscript text. Now we can see the example program of subscript text. The content of a SUB/SUB element is written in subscript. The font size used is the same as the characters surrounding it, but is displayed half a character's height beneath the other characters. The output of this program is shown in screen. Inserted text. Now we can see the example program of inserted text. Anything that appears within INS/INS element is displayed as inserted text. The output of this program is shown in screen. Deleted text. Now we can see the example program of deleted text. Anything that appears within DEL/DEL element is displayed as deleted text. The output of this program is shown in screen. Larger text. Now we can see the example program of larger text. The content of the big/big element is displayed one font size larger than the rest of the text surrounding it. The output of this program is shown in screen. Smaller text. Now we can see the example program of smaller text. The content of the small element is displayed one font size smaller than the rest of the text surrounding it. The output of this program is shown in screen. Grouping content. The div and span elements allows you to group together several elements to create sections or subsections of a page. Let us see the example program of div element in grouping content. For example, you might want to put all of the footnotes on a page with a div element to indicate that all of the elements within that div element relates to the footnotes. You might then attach a style to this div element so that they appear using a special set of style rules. The output of this program is shown in screen. Let us see the example program of span element in grouping content. The span element, on the other hand, can be used to group inline elements only. So, if you have a part of a sentence or paragraph which you want to group together, you could use the span element as follows. The output of this program is shown in screen. These tags are commonly used with CSS to allow you to attach a style to a section of a page. Comment lines. HTML programming language has the facility to include comment lines for the reference of the programmer. The comment will not appear in the web page. We include comments using the exclamatory tag. The general format is example, exclamatory. This part illustrates a product profile of the company. HTML links. In this video, we are going to see about HTML links. The HTML A tag defines a hyperlink. An anchor tag A is used to define a link, but you also need to add something to the anchor tag, the destination of the link. A hyperlink or link is a word, group of words, or image that you can click on to jump to another document. When you move the cursor over a link in a web page, the arrow will turn into a little hand. The most important attribute of the A element is the href attribute, which indicates the link's destination. By default, links will appear as follows in all browsers. An unvisited link is underlined and blue. A visited link is underlined and purple. An active link is underlined and red. HTML link syntax. The HTML code for a link is simple. It looks like this. The href attribute specifies the destination of a link. HTML links the target attribute. The target attribute specifies where to open the linked document. HTML links the ID attribute. The ID attribute can be used to create a bookmark inside a HTML document. Bookmarks are not displayed in any special way. they are invisible to the reader. HTML list. A list is any ordered set of data. HTML offers us several mechanisms for specifying lists of information. Navigational routes provide turn-by-turn lists of directions. Recipes provide lists of ingredients and lists of instructions. With a list for nearly everything, it is easy to understand why they are also popular online. When we want to use a list on a website, HTML provides 3 different types to choose from: unordered list, ordered list, description list. Choosing which type of list to use or whether to use a list at all comes down to the content and the most semantically appropriate option for displaying that content. For example, we can choose what type of marker to use on a list. The marker could be square, round, numeric, alphabetical, or perhaps non-existent. Also, we can decide if a list should be displayed vertically or horizontally. All of these choices play significant roles in the styling of our web pages. Unordered list. An unordered list is simply a list of related items whose order does not matter. Creating an unordered list in HTML is accomplished using the unordered list block level element UL. Each item within an unordered list is individually marked up using the list item element LI. By default, most browsers add a vertical margin and left padding to the UL element and precede each LI element with a solid dot. Let us see the example program of an unordered list. The output of this program is shown in screen. Ordered list. The ordered list element OL works very much like the unordered list element. Individual list items are created in the same manner. The main difference between an ordered list and an unordered list is that with an unordered list, the order in which items are presented is important. Because the order matters, instead of using a dot as the default list item marker, an ordered list uses numbers. Let us see the example program of ordered list. The output of this program is shown in screen. Description list. Another type of list seen online, but not as often as unordered or ordered list, is the description list. Description lists are used to outline multiple terms and their descriptions as in a glossary. Creating a description list in HTML is accomplished using the description list block level element DL. Instead of using a LI element to mark up list items, the description list requires 2 block level elements, the description term element DT and the description element DD. A description list may contain numerous terms and descriptions one after the other. Additionally, a description list may have multiple terms per description as well as multiple descriptions per term. When adding a description list, the DT element must come before the DD element. The definition term and the description that directly follows it correspond to one another, thus the order of these elements is important. By default, the DL element will include vertical margins, just like the UL and OL elements. Additionally, the DD element includes a left margin by default. HTML document tables. In this video, we are going to see about HTML document tables. The HTML table model allows authors to arrange data, text, pre-formatted text, images, links, forms, form fields, other tables, etc. into rows and columns of cells. The table object represents an HTML table element. Each table may have an associated caption that provides a short description of the table's purpose. Table rows may be grouped into a head, foot, and body sections via the T-head, T-foot, and T-body elements respectively. Row groups convey additional structural information and may be rendered by user agents in ways that emphasize this structure. User agents may exploit the head or body or foot division to support scrolling of body sections independently of the head and foot sections. When long tables are printed, the head and foot information may be repeated on each page that contains table data. Authors may also group columns to provide additional structural information that may be exploited by user agents. Furthermore, authors may declare column properties at the start of a table definition in a way that enables user agents to render the table incrementally rather than having to wait for all the table data to arrive before rendering. Table cells may either contain header information or data. Cells may span multiple rows and columns. The HTML4 table model allows authors to label each cell so that non-visual user agents may more easily communicate heading information about the cell to the user. Not only do these mechanisms greatly assist users with visual disabilities, they make it possible for multimodal wireless browsers with limited display capabilities, for example, web-enabled pagers and phones, to handle tables. Tables should not be used purely as a means to lay out document content, as this may present problems when rendering to non-visual media. Additionally, when used with graphics, these tables may force users to scroll horizontally to view a table designed on a system with a larger display. To minimize these problems, authors should use style sheets to control layout rather than tables. Access a table object. User can access a table element by using getElementById method. Create a table object. User can create a table element by using the document.createElement method. Table object collections. Table object methods. Table object properties. HTML frames. In this video, we are going to see about HTML frames. Frame is a typical layout on the web page by which a user can interact with the web page. The browser window is called a container. It is possible to divide the container into several frames and use each frame for displaying a different HTML document. Frames have the following characteristics. Each frame is given a name. Each frame will be targeted by a HTML document. Each frame resizes itself dynamically in response to the changes in the size of visible client area. Typical component of forms are text field, text area, radio buttons, checkbox, and push buttons. HTML allows us to place these form components on the web page and send the desired information to the destination server. Frames allow dividing the browser window into subregions. By displaying multiple documents, you can compare their data. You can also use frames to show index as links in one subregion and the corresponding document in their other subregion. This way, the index will never go out of sight while browsing through the document. Frames can divide the browser window horizontally or vertically. You can also nest a frame within another frame. You can display tables, links, forms, and images through frames. To split the browser window, you need to create frames. Frames allow you to display different HTML pages in one browser window. To create frames, you need to create a frame document, except that a frame set container replaces the body container. A frame set container describes the HTML document or frames that make up the page. A standard frame has no body element and cannot contain tags that would normally be placed in the body element. If they appear in the frame document, the frame set tag is ignored. Frames tag attributes. In this video, we are going to see about frames tag attributes. To display different HTML pages in different frames, you need to use the frame tag. The frame tag has no matching end tag. The frame element which uses the frame tag has following attributes: src, name, margin width, margin height, scrolling, no resize, frame border, frame spacing. The src attribute. The src attribute takes as its value the URL of the document to be displayed in the frame. Frame without an src attribute are displayed as a blank space of the size of the frame. Its value can be any URL. For example, src is equal to /html/top_frame.htm will load an HTML file available in HTML directory. The name attribute. The name attribute is used to assign a name to a frame so that it can be targeted by links in other documents. The documents are usually from other frames in the same document. This attribute is optional. By default, all frames are unnamed. Names must begin with an alphanumeric character given below or certain reserved names starting with an underscore. There is no need to explicitly assign them to the name attribute. They need to be specified with the target attribute. It is used to indicate which frame a document should be loaded into. This is especially important when you want to create links in one frame that load pages into another frame, in which case the second frame needs a name to identify itself as the target of the link. Underscore blank. By specifying target is equal to blank, the document will be loaded in a new window. For example, although these are reserved names for the name attribute of the frame element, they are to be referred to using a tag. It is used to target specific windows, allowing smoother transition between framed documents and between framed and normal documents. The margin width attribute. The margin width attribute is used when the document author wants to control the margin for the frame. It has to be specified as a pixel value. Margins cannot be less than 1. This attribute allows you to specify the width of the space between the left and right of the frame's borders and the frame's content. The value is given in pixels. For example, margin width is equal to 10. The margin height attribute. This attribute allows you to specify the height of the space between the top and bottom of the frame's borders and its contents. The value is given in pixels. For example, margin height is equal to 10. The scrolling attribute. This attribute describes if the frame should have a scroll bar or not. This attribute controls the appearance of the scroll bars that appear on the frame. If the value is S, the scroll bar will always be visible on the frame. The no value results in scroll bars are needed and place them wherever they are needed. The scrolling attribute is optional by default. The value is auto. The no resize attribute. This attribute has no value. It's just a flag, which informs the user that the frame is not resizable by the user. Users typically resize the frames by dragging a frame edge to a new position. If any of the frames adjacent to an edge is not resizable, then entire edge will be restricted from moving. This will affect the resizability of other frames. The no resize attribute is optional by default. All frames are resizable. By default, you can resize any frame by clicking and dragging on the borders of a frame. The no resize attribute prevents a user from being able to resize the frame. For example, no resize is equal to no resize. The frame border attribute. This attribute allows control of the frame border display. With this attribute set to 0, the borders for the specific frame are not drawn. This attribute specifies whether or not the borders of that frame are shown. It overrides the value given in the frame border attribute on the frame set tag if 1 is given, and this can take values either 1, that is yes, or 0, that is no. The frame spacing attribute. This attribute allows the setting of extra space around frames to give the appearance of floating frames. The value should be the distance required around the frame in pixels. For example, frame spacing is equal to 55 would display the frame with a spacing of 55 pixels. Creating frames. In this video, we are going to see about creating frames. To use frames on a page, we use frame set tag instead of body tag. The frame set tag defines how to divide the window into frames. The rows attribute of frame set tag defines horizontal frames and calls attribute defines vertical frames. Each frame is indicated by frame tag and it defines which HTML document shall open into the frame. Now we can see the example program of creating frames. The output of this program is shown in screen. Another example for creating frames. The output of this program is shown in screen. Disadvantages of frames. There are a few drawbacks with using frames, so it's never recommended to use frames in your web pages. They are: some smaller devices cannot cope with frames, often because their screen is not big enough to be divided up. Sometimes your page will be displayed differently on different computers due to different screen resolution. The browser's back button might not work as the user hopes. There are still few browsers that do not support frame technology. Browser support for frames. If a user is using any old browser or any browser which does not support frames, then no frames element should be displayed to the user. So you must place a body element inside the no frames element because the frame set element is supposed to replace the body element. But if a browser does not understand frame set element, then it should understand what is inside the body element, which is contained in a no frames element. You can put some nice message for your user having old browsers. For example, sorry, your browser does not support frames, as shown in the above example. Frame names and target attributes. One of the most popular uses of frames is to place navigation bars in one frame and then load main pages into a separate frame. Let us see the following example where a test.html file has following code. Example program. Here we have created two columns to fill with two frames. The first frame is 200 pixels wide and will contain the navigation menu bar implemented by menu.html file. The second column fills in remaining space and will contain the main part of the page, and it is implemented by main.html file. For all the three links available in menu bar, we have mentioned target frame as main page, so whenever you click any of the links in menu bar, available link will open in main page. Target attributes. Forms. In this video, we are going to see about forms. Forms are used to accept data from the user. This data can be personal information from the user or some feedback from the user. Forms help to enhance the website depending on the user's feedback. To create a form element is used. It uses the opening and closing, that is form/form tags. Different controls such as text box, option buttons, images and checkbox can be put in a form. Forms cannot be nested, but a web page can contain more than one form. The actual working of a form involves the action and the method attribute to be set. The action attribute specifies the URL. The method attribute can take up two values, get and post. Both the values of the method attribute work for the same purpose with a slight difference. When post is used as a value of method attribute, the information is sent as a block of data through an HTTP post transaction. When get is used, the form information is added to the URL. The page is opened as if it were an anchor. The default value of the method attribute is get. HTML forms enable you to accept data over the internet. You can accept feedback, conduct a web survey, or collect information from the users using HTML forms. The various form elements used to create an HTML form are: HTML forms are required when you want to collect some data from the site visitor. For example, during user registration, you would like to collect information such as name, email address, credit card, etc. A form will take input from the site visitor and then will post it to a backend application such as CGI, ASP.script or PHP.script, etc. The backend application will perform required processing on the passed data based on defined business logic inside the application. There are various form elements available like text fields, text area fields, drop-down menus, radio buttons, checkbox, etc. Syntax. Forms attributes. In this video, we are going to see about forms attributes. Apart from common attributes, following is a list of the most frequently used form attributes. HTML form controls. There are different types of form controls that you can use to collect data using HTML form. Text input controls, checkbox controls, radio box controls, select box controls, file select controls, hidden controls, clickable buttons, submit and reset button. Text input controls. There are three types of text input used on forms: single line text input controls, password input controls, multi-line text input controls. Single line text input controls. This control is used for items that require only one line of user input, such as search boxes or names. They are created using HTML input tag. Now we can see the example program of single line text input controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Password input controls. This is also a single line text input, but it masks a character as soon as a user enters it. They are also created using HTML input tag. Now we can see the example program of password input controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes. Multi-line input controls. This is used when the user is required to give details that may be longer than a single sentence. Multi-line input controls are created using HTML text area tag. Now we can see the example program of multi-line input controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes. Checkbox controls. Checkbox is used when more than one option is required to be selected. They are also created using HTML input tag, but type attribute is set to checkbox. Now we can see the example program of checkbox controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes. Radio button controls. Radio buttons are used when out of many options, just one option is required to be selected. They are also created using HTML input tag, but type attribute is set to radio. Now we can see the example program of radio button controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes. Select box controls. A select box, also called drop-down box, which provides option to list down various options in the form of drop-down list from where a user can select one or more options. Now we can see the example program of select box control. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes of select tag. Attributes of option tag. Field upload box. If you want to allow a user to upload a file to your website, you will need to use a file upload box, also known as a file select box. This is also created using the input element, but type attribute is set to file. Let us see the example program of field upload box. The output of this program is shown in screen. Attributes. Button controls. There are various ways in HTML to create clickable buttons. You can also create a clickable button using input tag by setting its type attribute to button. Let us see the example program of button controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. Hidden form controls. Hidden form controls are used to hide data inside the page, which later on can be pushed to the server. This control hides inside the code and does not appear on the actual page. For example, following hidden form is being used to keep current page number. When a user clicks next page, then the value of hidden control will be sent to the web server, and there it will decide which page has to be displayed next based on the past current page. Let us see the example program of hidden form controls. The output of this program is shown in screen. HTML images. In this video, we are going to see about HTML images. Images play an important role in a website. They make our web pages appear more eye-catching and descriptive. A judicious use of images with text can make your web page quite appealing. In the following sections, we will learn how to insert images to our web pages and how to work with them properly to make the web page impressive. Always use images in JPEG or GIF format, since most of the browsers support these two formats. To display an image on a page, you need to use the SRC attribute. SRC stands for source. The value of the SRC attribute is the URL of the image you want to display on your page. The image SRC tag is used for inserting images to a web page. The syntax of defining an image. Syntax. Not only does the source attribute specify what image to use, but where the image is located. Images are the second aspects of a pleasant web experience. The problems with images are legion if they are not used wisely. First, experienced or impatient web surfers often switch image loading off by default on their browsers. If your site relies on an image to get important information across, these people may never see it. Second, loading images is a slow process, and if you use too many or your images are too large, the download times can easily become intolerable. Browsers display a limited range of image types. You can only guarantee that GIF and JPG will be displayed everywhere, although more and more browsers are now able to display the PNG format, which was intended as a free replacement for the GIF format when that was copyrighted. If you want high quality, good compression and loss of colors, use JPG, for instance, when displaying photographs. Generally, though GIFs are more common as they tend to be smaller files, lots of software can manipulate them and can be animated. Image attributes. A picture or an image in the web page can be inserted using the IMG tag. The IMG tag has several attributes to inform the source, height of the picture, width of the picture alignment, etc. SRC, height, width, align, alt, SRC and alt. The SRC attribute specifies the source of the picture. It gives the file name of the picture file. The two parameters SRC and alt define where to find the image and text to display if the user agent cannot display the image or is set not to display image at all. These two parameters comprise the minimal set of parameters for any image tag. Here is an example of the image tag that will insert a computer image, computer.jpg, into a document with the alternate text, a picture of a computer. Height and width. The height and the width may be expressed in terms of either pixels of percentage or units. The default is the pixels. Syntax specifies that the width of the image should be number pixels. If no dimensions are specified for the image, the browser will insert the image exactly as it is at the same time as you would view it in a picture editor on your computer. The picture will load slightly faster if you specify the height and width so that the browser does not have to determine it. Align. The align attribute can be used to align the picture. Insert image. User can insert any image in the web page by using IMG tag. The IMG tag is an empty tag, which means that it contains only list of attributes and it has no closing tag. Syntax. To try following example, let's keep our HTML file test.htm and image file test.png in the same directory. Let us see the example program for inserting images. The output of this program is shown in screen. User can use PNG, JPEG or GIF image file based on the comfort, but make sure users specify correct image file name in src attribute. Image name is always case sensitive. The alt attribute is a mandatory attribute which specifies an alternate text for an image if the image cannot be displayed. Set image location. Usually, we keep all the images in a separate directory. So, let's keep HTML file test.htm in our home directory and create a subdirectory images inside the home directory where we will keep our image test.png. So, let's keep HTML file test.htm in our home directory and create a subdirectory images inside the home directory where we will keep our image test.png. Assuming our image location is image/test.png, try the following example. Let us see the example program for set image location. The output of this program is shown in screen. Set image width and height. User can set image width and height based on the requirement using width and height attributes. User can specify width and height of the image in terms of either pixels or percentage of its actual size. Let us see the example program for set image width and height. The output of this program is shown in screen. Set image border. By default, image will have a border around it. You can specify border thickness in terms of pixels using border attribute. A thickness of 0 means no border around the picture. Let us see the example program for set image border. The output of this program is shown in screen. Set image alignment. By default, image will align at the left side of the page, but you can use align attribute to set it in the center or right. Let us see the example program for set image alignment. The output of this program is shown in screen. Multimedia. In this video, we are going to see about multimedia. Multimedia is any combination of text, graphics, video, audio, and animation in a distributed format that consumers can interact with using a digital device. Multimedia can be thought of as a supermedium of sorts because it represents the blending together of previously distinct and non-combination forms of human expression. Multimedia computing has produced a revolution. The multimedia computer captures all manner of worldly experience and even presents us with worlds of its own. Revolutions displace traditional beliefs and practices. They also create entirely new activities and products. The Industrial Revolution displaced traditional craftsmanship goods that had been produced by hand in small shops were now made in factories by machines. The multimedia revolution is also displacing tradition and ushering in new products and activities. The defining elements of modern multimedia, including its different forms: non-interactive, interactive, basic, hypermedia, adaptive, immersive. The word multimedia comes from the Latin words mults, which means numerous, a media, which means middle or center. Multimedia, in the general sense, therefore means multiple intermediaries between the source and the sink of information, or multiple means by which information is stored, transmitted, presented, or perceived. The multiple means by which we can perceive information are the following: text, for example, book chapter, newspaper article; image, for example, photograph; graphics, for example, sketch, diagram; sound, for example, speech, music; video, for example, TV program, movie clip; animation, for example, animation clip. Characteristics of multimedia. There is no general consensus on the exact definition of multimedia. Several definitions have been proposed by authors with varying scopes. Multimedia is an interdisciplinary, application-oriented technology that capitalizes on the multisensory nature of humans. The following has important characteristics of a multimedia presentation, such as multiple media, non-linearity, scope of interactivity, integrity, digital representation, browser support. The first web browsers had support for text only, limited to a single font in a single color. Later came browsers with support for colors and fonts, and even support for pictures. The support for sounds, animations, and videos is handled differently by various browsers. Different types and formats are supported, and some formats requires extra helper programs, that is plugins, to work. Multimedia formats. Multimedia elements like sounds or videos are stored in media files. The most common way to discover the type of a file is to look at the file extension. When a browser sees the file extension .htm or .html, it will treat the file as an HTML file. The .xml extension indicates an XML file and the .css extension indicates a stylesheet file. Pictures are recognized by extensions like .gif, .png, and .jpg. Multimedia files also have their own formats and different extensions like .swf, .wav, .mp3, .mp4, .mpg, .wmv, and .avi. Common video formats. MP4 is the new and upcoming format for the internet video. Format, file, description. MPEG, .mpg, .mpeg. MPEG, developed by the Moving Picture Expert Group, the first popular on the web, used to be supported by all browsers. AVI, .avi. AVI, Audio Video Interleave, developed by Microsoft, commonly used in video cameras and TV hardware. Plays well on Windows computer but not in web browsers. WMV, .wmv. WMV, Windows Media Video, developed by Microsoft, commonly used in video cameras and TV hardware, plays well on Windows computer but not in web browsers. QuickTime, .mov. QuickTime, developed by Apple, commonly used in video cameras and TV hardware, plays well on Apple computers but not in web browsers. Real Video, .rm, .ram. Real Video, developed by Real Media to allow video streaming with low bandwidths. It is still used for online video and internet TV but does not play in web browsers. Flash, .swf, .flv. Flash, developed by Macromedia, often requires an extra component that is plug-in to play in web browsers. OGG, .ogg. Theora OGG, developed by Xip.org Foundation, supported by HTML5. WebM, .webm. WebM, developed by the web giants Mozilla, Opera, Adobe, and Google. MPEG-4 or MP4. .mp4. MP4, developed by the Moving Pictures Expert Group, based on QuickTime, commonly used in newer video cameras and TV hardware. Sound formats. MP3 is the newest format for compressed recorded music. The term MP3 has become synonymous with digital music. Format, file, description. MIDI, .mdi, .midi. MIDI, Musical Instrument Digital Interface, main format for all electronic music devices like synthesizers and PC sound cards. MIDI files do not contain sound, but digital notes that can be played by electronics. Plays well on all computers and music hardware but not in web browsers. Real Audio, .rm, .ram. Real Audio, developed by Real Media to allow streaming of audio with low bandwidths, does not play in web browsers. WMA, .wma. WMA, Windows Media Audio, developed by Microsoft, commonly used in music players, plays well on Windows computers but not in web browsers. AAC, .AAC. AAC, Advanced Audio Coding, developed by Apple as the default format for iTunes, plays well on Apple computers but not in web browsers. WAV, .wav. WAV, developed by IBM and Microsoft, plays well on Windows, Macintosh, and Linux operating systems. OGG, .ogg. OGG, developed by the Xip.org Foundation. MP3, .mp3. MP3 files are actually the sound part of MPEG files. MP3 is the most popular format for music players, combines good compression, small files with high quality. MP4. MP4 MP4 is a video format but can also be used for audio. MP4 video is the upcoming video format on the internet. This leads to automatic support for MP4 audio by all browsers.